But we choose it either, we, not just women, but our nation chooses it in many ways, both frontally, but also often subtly. I look at the case of Hillary Rodham Clinton and the case of Sarah Palin, and I use their cases as an example to think about the ways that we treat women. Now, Hillary is my girl. She's the bomb. I think the world of her. But let's go back to that 2008 campaign and listen to Chris Matthews saying she reminded him of his nagging ex-wife. How does that belong in the political discourse? Well, see, Chris, if you picked up your socks, your wife would nag. That's A. But B, the issue is how we decide to reduce women who are political leaders into mother, daughter, sister, wife. Oh, she reminds me of, oh, I think she's nagging. Well, what she actually was doing was teaching. Every time Hillary opened her mouth, well, most of the time, not every single time, but most of the time on the campaign trail, I was like, wow, she's so smart. Maybe smart's not enough to be president of the United States, but at the same time, what bothered me was a commentariat. When, after she lost in Iowa, someone talked about, oh, she's going to have a menopausal meltdown. No, she was emotional, and that's okay. But let's look at just 2 weeks ago when the gentleman from Fox, and I use the word gentleman this time quite loosely, when the gentleman from Fox said that if someone interviewed Sarah Palin, they hoped that she would sit on their lap. Now, whatever you think of Sarah Palin, the fact is that she has established herself as a force to be reckoned with. She doesn't do lap dances on Fox, nor should she be asked to. But again, the notion that you will always attempt to sexualize a woman and her leadership is still acceptable in our public dialogue. Now, someone say, well, it doesn't have to happen every day. It should happen never. And we should have a standard as women that whether the woman is a D or an R, when those kind of comments come up, that we all say, stop it. Excuse me, but take us seriously. Because the inability to take one woman Thank you. The inability to take one woman seriously really means that we can't take any of us seriously, and we all deserve to be taken seriously. There is a cultural discomfort still around women's leadership, a burden that women have to try to, as Adrian talked a little bit about, be nice, be kind. Well, being nice and being kind should happen just because you're a human being, not because you're a leader. But we should not have to put ourselves in places to make other folk more comfortable. So when we talk about women and leadership, it just occurs to me that patriarchy still swims in our water. I'll give you an example. There are 9 statues of women in Statuary Hall at the United States Capitol. 9. In 1864, every state was given the possibility of sending up 2 statues, didn't say anything about gender, 2 statues of their outstanding citizens. And states can rotate those in and out. But not all but 9 of the statues, 91, are statues of men. Is this relevant? Well, for men, again, the bar is a little lower. All you had to do was ride a horse or have a gun or be a president, and you could get a statue. But the fact is that if we really believe in gender equality, then more states should make the effort to say, did we have a woman governor, a woman pioneer, someone that we'd like to send to Statuary Hall? I cringe at taking a 10 or 12-year-old to Statuary Hall to say to her, for her to say to me, why aren't there more women here? Now, of course, we have the abolitionist women who were lifted into Statuary Hall in 1997, and I know that I don't have to have a conversation here about representation, race, and gender. It took us another 13 years to get Sojourner Truth into Statuary Hall as part of the abolitionist movement. Some might say, gee, this is a minor thing, but the images that we send out are images that affect young women in the ways that they begin to make decisions, make choices, or have themselves affirmed. And that word affirmed is a very important word. We have a need for talent, and we see this need virtually daily. We also see virtually daily the treatment of women that's disparate. One of the things that I often say when I deal with sexism in my own community, and some of you will remember the Million Man March back in 1995, where my dear friend Minister Farrakhan said the women could stay home and teach while the men marched and led. Okay, that didn't turn out right. So My famous quote was, "You can't fight a war if you disable half the army." I would argue that's the same quote that I would use when I talk about our nation attempting to maintain its economic eminence. We can't win a war. We can't win as the United States if we decide we're going to sideline more than half, not half at this point, because remember, women are more likely to go to college, et cetera, more than half of our talent. But we haven't even got work and family issues right yet. Fewer than 5% of all workplaces offer child care on site. Now, about a third offer some child care something. But usually it's a hotline that you can call to say, I need child care. Well, that's very helpful. The real issue is that some places do offer emergency child care, but child care is not an emergency. It happens every day. You know, the child just doesn't need to be taken care of on Fridays, you know, casual dress day. So when we really decide that we're taking women seriously, we'll begin to deal with those issues. These are not women's issues, they are family issues, they're national issues, and they're economic issues. And more importantly, we will know that women have come a long way, baby, when some of these wonderful men who've been honored, the young man who just, the young, large, intimidating man. Yeah, I kind of found you intimidating too. I was like, let me go the other way. But it actually sounds like a really great guy. But in any case, we need your voices on these issues of work and family, of child. These cannot be reduced to simply women's issues, because when they're reduced to women's issues, yet again, they're sidelined. So I want to encourage folks to understand the difference that they make when they step up and step out. Now, words like leadership are intimidating to some people. They're intimidating because people think that means I'm going to stand out. Women, again, we've often been socialized not to stand out, to sit back in the crowd, not to be the one to speak up. We have an exercise on campus we have a chapel program on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11. And I will frequently walk up to a student just a few minutes before chapel starts and say, would you bring the prayer? Would you introduce a speaker? And 50-50 folks, oh no. And finally I've had to explain, no is not an option. Now, is there a script? Yes, here it is. Read a prayer, it's in the Bible. Surely you have read a Bible before, try it again. But the point is that, and some of the students have now kind of gotten it, she's going to put me on the spot. But the fact is that we ought to put ourselves on the spot. You look around you, you see that something's wrong. So what do? Do you swallow it or do you step up? And you don't have to have degrees behind your name or positions. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't need to make your subject or your verb agree to serve. You don't need to know a theory of thermonuclear dynamics to serve. All you need is a heart filled with grace and a soul filled with love. Leadership, anybody can lead if you've got love. And so my encouragement today is for folks really to step up and step out.